number of requests for everybody's time. So you will have Chief of Detectives the investigation. Also available is going to be Chief of Transit Bureau Jason Wilcox. And with us we also have Craig Cipriano, who is the interim president of the New York City Transit Authority. We will begin with Chief S.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just like to brief you, brutal attack, 57 last night. This is still early in the investigation, and we'll walk you through what we know so far. At 11 o'clock last night, a female left work and was walking to take Queens Boulevard B train home. As she entered the stairs of the transit station, a male, approximately 6 foot tall, wearing a dark jacket and blue jeans, with a cane, followed her down the stairs. He grabs her purse, kicks her, and then strikes her numerous times with what appears to be a hammer. The victim tries to defend herself, but he continues striking her about the head. Our perpetrator flees with her property on foot.
Hey, Jimmy? Sorry. Nobody's lied, right?
No.
Okay, we're having an audio problem, so rather than go through all of it again, let me see if we can fix our audio problem, and we'll get up to. By the way, you were doing beautiful.
That's me? Oh.
All right.
You want me to start from the...
Is the microphone on?
Take two?
There we go.
Oh. There we go. Now it's good. Okay.
Can't see you. Just do a sound check, Chief, if you don't mind.
Check.
Everybody? Yeah, we're good. Great.
I'll start from the top. Start from the top, okay? Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to brief you and ask for the public's help in a brutal attack of a 57-year-old female that occurred last night. This is early in the investigation, but I'd like to walk you through what we know so far. At 11 o'clock last night, a female left work and was walking to take the Queens Boulevard E train home. As she entered the stairs of the transit system, a male approximately 6 foot tall, wearing a dark jacket, blue jeans, and with a cane, follows her down the stairs. He grabs her purse, kicks her, and strikes her numerous times with what appears to be a hammer. The victim tries to defend herself, but he continues striking her about the head. Our perpetrator flees with her property on foot to Queens Boulevard South and Jackson Avenue. Our victim is taken to Cornell Medical Center, where she has a fractured skull, bleeding from the brain, and lacerations to the face. We are asking anyone with any information to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS. This is an unprovoked, brutal, and appalling crime on a woman who was just trying to get home after a day's work. A woman who dedicated her life to helping others. So with that, we'll take any questions. Yes?
Do you know if she was followed possibly from work or a bank, or was it randomly followed?
She leaves work approximately 15 minutes before. We had limited contact with her because she went into surgery, but she does say as she's walking into the subway, she observes that male, who then follows her a short distance down into the subway. Yes?
Chief, was this one of these subways where there's supposed to be uptick in enforcement there to the plan that was rolled out last month? But what would you say to commuters who feel unsafe with this latest high-profile attack on the subway?
Jay, you want to take the... Chief Wilcox, Chief of Transit.
Good afternoon. So just regarding enhanced coverage throughout the transit system, obviously this station is an important station. It's right on Queens Boulevard, you know, heavily trafficked. It's definitely a station that receives additional coverage from our Transit Bureau personnel, but as well as the enhanced coverage where we have officers from patrol coming now, doing vertical patrols into the subway system, throughout the system in all boroughs. So this is definitely a priority station for us. Subsequent to this attack, we've redeployed resources. We have additional officers at the station and along the line. But it's definitely a station heavily trafficked and covered by District 20, which is the district that covers the stations in Queens.
I'm not sure that makes some riders feel more comfortable because it is heavily covered and this is still happening. I know it's a redundant question, but what do you say to subway riders who, it's like, well, what can you really do to protect yourself? She was walking down the stairs. How can New Yorkers, like, feel comfortable taking the subway home?
So, I mean, as the Chief Essig mentioned, in this situation, our victim is walking in towards the subway. She sees the male looking into the window of a store, and he follows her, and the attack occurs, the robbery occurs on the steps. We are definitely working very hard to increase uniform presence throughout the system, on the trains, on the platforms, along the mezzanines, in the stairs. So it is an absolute priority. I pushed it from day one when I arrived there, is that we're working very hard to, maximize the presence of our officers in the system so people see us, people feel safer. That's what we're doing.
So are you in some way sort of saying the following sort of happened before outside, so might have had nothing to do with the subway, like he was just following her from outside in front of the store. So it's just an issue of crime in general.
I mean, bottom line, it's a robbery, and she was followed from the street, and it did happen on the stairs. So, I mean, the nexus between the train and the street is relevant, and it's obvious. But, in terms of our focus and keeping the subway safe, we're working very, very hard to do this.
Can you say how many patrols then you've added to that station in general? And did this kind of fall out of those added patrols in the sense of, did you only increase patrols and added shifts during rush hours in the morning, in the afternoon, or when were those patrols originally deployed?
So those patrols are throughout the day, 7 days a week, at different times and by different people. So it's a busy station. District 20, it's a priority station, at given times. So we're there quite often and regularly, without a doubt. And it's, in terms of the redeployment, we're adding additional officers along that E line, at the station where this happened, and adjoining stations on the E line.
Could you give a number to that just to reassure commuters that there's that added presence even if they don't see it?
Well, I mean, I don't want to quantify it with a number, but there are additional officers in this area for sure.
Like 6?
I don't want to quantify it, but it's, we have numbers, and so if you look at what we've done so far this year, where we have additional officers from patrol and additional officers in transit doing directed patrols in the transit system, we're well over 120,000 of visits, verticals in the system since the beginning of January. So it's a significant number. We're continuing on doing this. We're all working together. It's not just the Transit Bureau, it's the Patrol Service Bureau. Housing is also assisting us to raise presence, to do additional enhanced coverages. So it's a significant effort of a lot of people.
Chief, I guess yesterday in the 77 also you had a slashing in the subway, and it seems crimes are becoming more violent in the subways. What do you think is the driver behind this in general, about the violence of the crimes in the subway?
So just, any crime of violence, whether it be something like this, which is a robbery, or in that incident where the person, sees a man following a woman, makes statements, and then the male now engages our victim and stabs him, around in the ear area. So any crime of violence like that, is taken extremely seriously by our Transit, Bureau, and also working very close and hand in hand with the investigative side with Chief Essig and his detectives. So anything like that, initiates a vigorous response and a very dedicated investigation.
Right there. So this afternoon, I just came from speaking with the victim that were just being discussed.
Yes.
And he was frustrated and said to me that he saw two officers at that station, but they were looking at their phones for most of the time he observed them. Is there anything being done to just make sure their officer are actively engaging, whether it be walking back and forth, but just being present in the stations?
So my directive and our mission is to be highly visible on the trains, on the platforms, moving around, taking train runs from other stations. So that's what we're very dedicated towards.
I guess following up on that too, because that's obviously, it's a common complaint with officers who push this presence out here if they're on their phones. But every cop has an iPhone. So if you looked into maybe tracking your screen time, I get that alert every week, and it would kind of give you an idea if they're on their phone.
So we already do track screen time on those phones, department phones, to see what they're looking at. It's less to see what they're looking at on the phone and more to see the wanted posters, missing persons, other crime information that's being pushed on the phone is being read, and we see that it is largely being read. So when you see a cop looking at their phone, you can make the assumption that they're doing one thing, but if it's a department phone, they're looking at material that we're pushing to them in the field for a reason.
Right. We try to give our officers, whether they're from patrol coming down or even the transit officers, important intelligence information that's relevant to the stations that they're covering, and we send that via, our department cell phones.
Chief, who found this woman? How long was she laying there? And Craig, was there a station agent nearby at this station when she was attacked?
So I don't have the exact time. It was a 911 call. It was a swift response. And, I don't have the exact time, but obviously, she was rushed off to the hospital immediately, when our officers arrived.
And Craig, was there a station agent at this station when she was there? Was that within eyesight?
So the incident happened on the stairs going down to the station. So the agent would have been in the booth. When we checked our cameras in collaboration with PD, we did not see anything in regards to the crime itself.
Okay, two more. John?
Chief, if you look at the trends numbers, you are seeing some success in getting weapons in stops and things like that, and your summons numbers are up. Are you guys seeing success in the enforcement? And secondly, does it believe the homeless are people you arrest, like driver behind some of the crime that's happening on the ground?
So I just want to stick on the weapon issue. Obviously, it's something we target, something we look at, something we take seriously. When we do come across a weapon, we've made gun arrests, we've made multiple cutting instrument arrests this year. It's something that, obviously we're heavily focused on, just to remove weapons from individuals in the system. Obviously, we're tightly focused on that. Whether the victims or the suspects are homeless, in something like this, whether that's driving, I'm not really going to comment on that.
While you're on that subject, do you mind running the summons numbers with the fare evasion piece?
So I'll just give you a sense of kind of what we're doing, because you asked about activity-wise. So, year to date in the transit system, our arrests, we have over 1,000 arrests, which is a 54% increase. Our arrests for cutting instruments are up 84%. Our summonses, our tab summonses for rules and regulation violations in the system, we've issued over 9,600 fare evasion summonses, over nearly 12,000 total tab summonses for violations of rules of conduct, which is a 17% increase from where we were last year. So we're definitely we're being proactive. Our cops are out there, and we're definitely engaging. And when we see a significant violation, we're addressing it.
All right, last one.
How does that compare to maybe December last year when it was probably about the same ridership, or maybe 2020, kind of last year with the pandemic, coming off that lag of the holidays?
So, just with the robberies, obviously we're up in robberies in the transit system right now when you compare us to last year at this time where ridership was suppressed and there was much less activity. When you go back, compare what we have now to pre-pandemic, right before the pandemic, we're down about 33% in robberies. So it does have an influence on the number.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
sir. Yes, sure.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like that weird.